To say potholes roughed up Omaha's roads would be an understatement. This year, we had a record-breaking amount of pothole complaints, and the mayor decided to do something the city has never done: authorize the city to pay for pothole damage done to cars. But getting that money is taking a lot longer than many people had hoped for.
I need my pliers.
Paige Peterson's car has been through a lot.
Getting stolen and coming back to me. I've had to fix the air conditioning.
And the windows don't roll down. But for a '99 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles, Paige says it's treated her well.
I just knew that in good time I would fix the minor things wrong with it, but it ran and drove, and it was good on gas and got me from point A to point B all the time.
But on March 13th, Paige hit 3 potholes.
The potholes are really bad. They were probably like, if I had to guess, like that deep, and then they were just like in a line.
That destroyed her front end.
My control arm is busted, so my wheel doesn't sit right.
Costing more than $1,000 to fix. She towed it to her mom's until she could come up with the money.
Never. I have never had to put this much money into a car.
On March 18th, Mayor Jean Stothert held a press conference authorizing the city of Omaha to pay pothole claims filed against the city. Something it hasn't done in years, but it did have some boundaries. 1, the incident had to have happened sometime between January 1st and the day she announced it.
After today, any claims that the city makes will receive them and review them on a case-by-case basis.
It also needed to be within city limits, and the pothole had to have been reported to the city beforehand. Drivers also had to submit a receipt and any documentation if they filed the incident with their insurance company. After reviewing Paige's claim and the city's pothole database, we found her claim met all the requirements. But instead of getting a check, Paige got a letter saying they needed more information 6 weeks after she filed her claim.
What direction I was going, what time of day, what lane I was in, what the nearest block was. They wanted pictures.
Paige sent the photos and called the city to make sure she was giving them everything they needed. Instead, she says, they gave her vague answers and asked if she would file it with her insurance.
And I don't even have full coverage. It's a 99 Honda Civic, so that kind of made me feel uncomfortable.
And Paige isn't the only one waiting.
Unfortunately, due to the large number of pothole claims, we are unable to answer questions about the status of specific pothole claims at this time.
Of the 2,000 plus claims, the city's legal department has paid out 97.
If you have filed a claim with the city, please note that within 3 to 4 weeks, you should receive some sort of letter stating that we did receive the claim.
More than a month ago, 3 News Now asked the mayor for an interview on the claims. Her office told us she wouldn't be available to talk until sometime after the College World Series. A date for that interview still hasn't been set.
I definitely feel like they are trying to get a way out of fixing my car.
And until this single mom gets an answer or some extra cash,
I've been here just waiting.
Paige's vehicle will stay right here.
It's just discouraging with me going to school for 2 years and kind of getting used to it, just sitting here leaking oil in my mom's driveway.
After receiving thousands of pothole claims, city officials said it would take an average of 6 months to find out if the city of Omaha would pay for your car to get fixed after hitting a pothole. The city's claims department says they have been working non-stop ever since the mayor announced the city would start approving these pothole claims. And we talked to the city's legal department about the mayor's decision and the impact it's having on our city's resources. For years, if your tire popped on a pothole, you had to pay for it.
We have never paid claims for potholes, and the law is behind us with that.
But all that changed on March 18th.
I felt that it was a year that we had some extraordinary circumstances, and when we do, we take some extraordinary measures.
Not only for the drivers who hit the potholes,
I was like, finally, okay.
but also the city's legal department.
Well, we didn't know how many claims that we were going to get after the announcement.
Before the mayor's announcement, 59 claims had been filed against the city. Assistant City Attorney Jeff Bloom says that number is now up to about 2,300.
I would say that for the parts of the department that are responsible for claims, it's been taking up the majority of their time.
In 2018, the city had about 100 claims, adding up to about 800 pages of paperwork. So far this year, we're looking at about 11,000 pages, and it's getting bigger every day.
I don't know the exact number, but we have been receiving a steady number of probably 15 to 20 per week.
Bloom says each of those claims takes about 2 hours.
2 hours for each claim. We're looking at a few thousand claims. That's 4,000 hours. What does that mean for the city?
Well, I mean, we're using current city employees, so I mean, it's not specifically costing us more money in that regard. We have people reassigned.
That includes moving 2 police officers to the claims department, something the city has never done.
I made the decision and I gave the direction to start paying the claims to the law department.
Did the legal department express concern about this policy change for January 1st through March 18th as far as the magnitude or the amount of work this would require?
For what it's worth, I mean, we knew what to expect as far as, after we didn't know the exact number as far as that's concerned, but we knew that there would be some reaction to that. As far as expressing concern, we frequently have conversations with the mayor as far as about decisions that are made, and with that, basically, I'm certain that she knows as far as our opinion on that, and we know her opinion on things.
What is the legal department's opinion?
I don't think the legal department really has an opinion as far as our job here is to basically protect the legal interests of the city.
The mayor did release some basic requirements for these pothole claims. Someone had to report the pothole beforehand. The incident had to have happened between January 1st and March 18th. You also had to file that claim by March 18th, and you needed receipts. But several people meeting the basic requirements are being denied for the same reason. Like snowflakes, no 2 potholes are the same. But all of these pothole pictures have 2 things in common. First, drivers like Paige Peterson and Sue Ann Witt say the potholes damaged their cars.
You can see it's about a yard wide.
Secondly, the city denied them all for the same reason. Nebraska Statute 13-910. It essentially states the city must know about a road defect and be given a reasonable amount of time to fix it. For several years, the city has used this statute to deny almost all of its claims. But after years of never approving a pothole claim, the mayor said the city was going to start paying.
We never said we were going to pay every claim. We said they had to follow our criteria.
We're looking in the database and seeing that those claims have reported potholes right before the incident happened.
You would probably have to give us this very specific claim that you were talking about.
We sent the city a list of several people's cases, including some where the city's own database seemed to suggest it was aware of the potholes in areas for weeks.
What was the threshold for deciding that?
Well, I think that the threshold, here's the thing. It wasn't, whenever we send a letter out, we don't necessarily put all of the reasons as far as on the reasons why we denied the claim. As far as we put probably the main reason that we denied the claim.
After emailing the city our findings, we asked how someone could get denied when they appeared to meet all the requirements listed in the mayor's press release. Assistant City Attorney Jeff Bloom responded they would no longer be able to address questions in regard to individual pothole claims.
We felt disappointed, like it might have been a bait and switch.
According to the city's database, on February 26th, a pothole was reported on 72nd Street. 17 days later, Witt hit a pothole 100 feet down the road from there.
It's just like, we're going to give you hope, and then we're going to crash your hopes, kind of a thing. So
I feel like they've let me down.
We searched the pothole database and found an address matching the intersection Peterson reported the pothole. That report was issued almost 2 weeks before Peterson's incident, but the city said that didn't count because the caller who reported the pothole told the city it was in the eastbound lane, and Peterson was traveling westbound.
I just think it's an excuse, and I don't trust anything really that they're saying.
I don't think it's an excuse at all. It's following our criteria. We have never paid claims for potholes.
it just makes me feel sad that we can't trust those kinds of statements that are made by our politicians.
While Witt drives off angry and disappointed,
Peterson is stuck.
I don't know what to do at this point. I just know that I need my car.
A single mother putting herself through school. Peterson's car hasn't left her mother's driveway since it hit the pothole.
I've been here just waiting.
And unless the city changes its mind,
Please help me fix my car.
Peterson's car isn't moving anytime soon. For the first half of the year, the city listed this reasonable amount of time statute in more than 80% of its pothole denial letters. Tomorrow, we're looking at another reason the city is using and why one woman says the city lied to her. In the first half of the year, about 80% of the city's denial letters listed it was not given a reasonable amount of time to respond to a reported pothole, something the mayor never listed in her new policy as a factor in approving pothole claims. Another reason people are getting denied has to do with what's on their title. We talked to one woman who says the city lied to her.
I heard it go, and this tire completely went out.
But it felt like more like a crater in the street.
Shelby Shull and Mia Rose Lawrence are both students.
I live off of financial loans.
They both hit potholes and filed claims against the city.
I started driving off and heard a noise and realized the back tire was slowly leaking air.
They were also both denied because of the names on their car titles.
The car my parents bought for me when I was 17 years old and just in the process of finishing high school, going to college, moving around a lot for that. It just never made sense for us to take the time to do it.
In addition to people like Shull, who have the same last name as their parents who are on the title, married couples were also denied if their significant other was on the title instead.
We do need to figure out if they are the owner or they are the lessee of the vehicle, just to make sure that they are in fact the party who was damaged by the pothole claim.
This is taxpayer dollars. This is Omaha taxpayer dollars that we are paying these claims, and we better be careful with how we are investigating and paying those out.
The city says this is a requirement because of fraud concerns, but nothing on the city's website or in the mayor's press release stated the actual owner of the vehicle had to file the claim. It wasn't until several weeks after people like Lawrence and Shull filed their claims that they received a letter back requesting a copy of their registration or title. But here's where their stories differ. Shull got a letter saying she was denied because her name didn't match the title, but the city didn't tell Lawrence her title was the problem. Instead, the city said it was not given a reasonable amount of time to respond to the pothole.
Here's the thing. It wasn't, whenever we send a letter out, we don't necessarily put all of the reasons as far as on the reasons why we denied the claim.
After finding several reports of potholes in the city's own database prior to Lawrence's incident, we emailed Assistant City Attorney Jeff Bloom our findings. He responded reasonable time was not a factor in Lawrence's claim, even though that was the only reason listed on her letter.
That's interesting. That's not okay. I don't know. That's ridiculous.
When we asked Bloom for an explanation, he declined to provide any more information on individual claims.
Well, they lied. I mean, they didn't ask for any additional information, and that's something they should have done rather than just denying me.
Different roads.
The cost of repairing my car was almost 2 months of what my rent would be.
With the same disappointing end.
I think it just came down to a technicality, and it was something they can get away with.
These students say the city failed them. If you received a denial letter stating the city was not given a reasonable amount of time to respond to the pothole you hit, go to our website. See for yourself when the pothole was reported, how many people reported it, and how long it took the city to fix it. You can find all of that on our website at 3newsnow.com.